What's up? We are live. So, stay with me on this one because it's going to sound like a random thing strung together, but there is a message here. So I watched Star Wars the other week. I think it's the latest film. It's the one where the main character is Rey and she goes on to defeat the ghost of Emperor Palpatine, who turns out to be her grandfather, and yada yada yada. Sorry if I've just ruined it for you. But either way, throughout the film, the hero, Rey, she is constantly trying to fight her dark side and suppress the idea that she might be a little bit evil because her grandfather is Palpatine, the evil emperor. So she's fighting with this idea. She's constantly stuck thinking, oh, am I evil? I need to fight against this. I need to push against this. And in the end, it almost gets her killed. And it does get Ren, who was on the dark side, killed in the end. So she's pushing this away constantly. And you can see how it's a massive thing for her. This inability to accept that there is actually something dark inside her. And that's the case for everybody, We all live our lives with a shadow. If you look into some of the old school psychologists, particularly the work of Jung, we have the concept of the shadow, this idea that we all have pieces of ourselves that we keep hidden, things that society, our parents, whatever it is, tells us are unacceptable. So we hide them, we repress them, and then ultimately they start to manifest in different ways. The more we repress something, the more it wants to come out. The more we try and shove things down, the more they fight to get out. And that shows up in all kinds of different ways in our lives. We've got principles of projection. We start to see things that we don't like in ourselves in other people, and it causes conflict. We start to self-sabotage. We take actions that don't serve us, all because of these things that we're trying to hide. And ultimately, in accepting our shadow self, the things that we don't like, the things that we would rather keep hidden, we ultimately bring up our self-worth, we bring up our self-confidence. Everything about us starts to change because we have accepted. And in that acceptance, we become what we call a whole human being. And as a whole human being, we unlock a new side of ourselves, a new level of capability, new things that we didn't think we could do, because there's nothing to hold us back. We have completely accepted ourselves for who and what we are. Now, of course, that requires a lot of work, it requires a lot of effort, it requires time, training, all of those things. And these are pieces that we touch on inside Project Tempest, inside the programs. We go into this stuff. But on a base level, we all have this shadow and we're all hiding it. It's the darker side of ourselves. And everybody now, seems quite a commonplace theme, is talking about wanting to be, a lighthouse. You've probably heard the analogy. Don't be a tugboat, be a lighthouse. A tugboat goes out into the sea, it grabs people who are in trouble, it drags them along, and it's doing this over and over again to its own detriment. It's struggle, it's fighting all the time. Whereas a lighthouse simply guides everyone else towards their destination safely. It doesn't have to put in the same level of effort as the tugboat. Okay, so you've probably heard that before. If you haven't, you have now. But here's the thing. Okay, everybody's busy trying to be a lighthouse. Everybody's busy trying to shine. What's up, Leanne? How are you? Everyone's trying to shine, okay? Everyone's trying to step into this role of being a lighthouse. But they're missing something. They're missing that key idea that a light cannot shine without the night, okay? There's no light without dark. So in order to truly be a lighthouse in your own life and for the benefit of those around you, you have to do some work on your shadow. You have to accept the darkness. There is no light without dark. So if you're doing all this work to be an upstanding citizen and to guide people and to help people, fantastic. But understand that it's never going to truly work until you accept yourself in its entirety, until you accept your shadow, until you accept your light. If you keep fighting against the things you don't like, if you keep fighting against all of those things that you keep hidden in your shadow, then you can never ever truly be a lighthouse, okay? a lighthouse doesn't shine without the dark. And that goes back to the principle of duality. You know, I'm big on this idea of balance and duality in the world. There has to be a light, there has to be a dark. One can't exist without the other. So instead of pushing away the dark and trying to amplify the light, we need to be accepting the darkness, accepting those things that we don't like, and allowing the light to shine through that. Because you can't have one without the other. And that's what it comes down to. And if we go back to what we said at the beginning about this character in Star Wars, constantly trying to be the hero, trying to save everybody, but struggling so much against that fear of the darkness inside that other people die, people have to sacrifice themselves. Good old Princess Leia, she ends up having to sacrifice her own life so that Rey can go on and save everybody. And perhaps that wouldn't have been necessary if Rey was able to take her own darkness and just accept that it's part of her, rather than fight it all the time. So that is a long-winded rant around being a lighthouse is fantastic, but it's an impossibility if you cannot accept yourself completely, including your darkness. There's a lot to be said for your darkness, you know. The things that you perceive to perhaps be negatives can actually be incredibly useful tools, incredibly useful things to help you get where you want to be. So there's a lot to be said for accepting your darkness. So that's it. That's for my long-winded, strangely put together rant around lighthouses, shadows and Star Wars. So let me know your thoughts, drop in the comments. Let me know what you thought of that film as well. I didn't particularly like it very much. It was a bit, let's put it this way, when a superhero is whiny, it gets on my nerves. So let me know what you thought about it if you've seen it, and just let me know your thoughts on, you know, shadows, lighthouses, and what you're working on at the moment. I'm working on a little bit of the old shadow work, so drop in and let me know how things are going. You're welcome, Leanne. Hope you are well.